Y'all are so full of shit. It's all such a fucking game. How do y'all not see this?
Jeffree Star is back in the conversation again, and you know I had to bring this one to the table. It's been a minute since I've even mentioned that man, but this latest mess? Oh, it's too wild to ignore. And listen, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because the drama never sleeps. So here's the scoop. Louis Vuitton just dropped their very first makeup line, and the internet is already dragging it. And honestly, they kind of have a point. The backlash has been heavy, and when you dig into it, the confusion starts to make sense. The mastermind behind this launch is none other than Pat McGrath. The same Pat McGrath who already runs her own legendary brand, Pat McGrath Labs. That line is ultra luxury, top tier, and it still doesn't reach the insane price tags Louis Vuitton just slapped on their products. Like, let's be real. Louis Vuitton is a big luxury name, sure, but it's also one of the most overexposed, mass-produced, and duped brands in fashion. Everyone's got a LV dupe. Everyone's seen those monograms 1,000 times over. It's luxury, but not untouchable luxury. When you compare it to brands like Hermes, Chanel, or Dior, Louis Vuitton doesn't exactly sit on the same throne. And here's the kicker. Chanel, Dior, and Hermes all sell makeup too. And guess what? Their products are still cheaper than this Louis Vuitton collection. So the big question is, who exactly thought this was a good idea? Fans are side-eyeing the entire rollout. And even with Pat McGrath's legendary stamp, people aren't buying the hype, literally. Let's talk numbers, because these prices are shocking. The Louis Vuitton lipsticks, yeah, the ones in that fancy packaging are going for £120 each. And get this, the lip balm alone is also £120. Who on earth is dropping that kind of money on lip balm? That's not luxury, that's robbery with a pretty case. Now sure, they give you the option to buy refills. The refills run between £52 to £60 and you just keep the outer case. But even then, does that sound like a deal to you? Not really. Then they toss in a bunch of beauty extras that are basically flex pieces. A vanity case for £590, a flat shading brush. That's literally just a basic eyeshadow brush for £87. A lipstick pouch, £350. Like, who exactly are they targeting with this lineup? And it doesn't stop there. They're selling a lip and eye brush set for a jaw-dropping £860. £860 for brushes. Unless those brushes apply the makeup and do your taxes too. That's wild. Then we've got the eyeshadows. Cute packaging, slick animations, and yes, the shades are nice. But would anyone in their right mind pay more than £40 for them, even from a high-end luxury brand? Absolutely not. At this point, it feels like Louis Vuitton is selling price tags, not products, and people are definitely noticing. So, the face products are coming in at £190 each. And yes, they're refillable. The refills are £69, which does make it a little more sustainable. But let's be real, that price tag is still insane. Cool idea or not, it's clear this line is catering to wallets way deeper than the average beauty lovers. And here's where Jeffree Star slides into the picture. Everyone knows Jeffree is obsessed with Louis Vuitton. He's not just a fan, he's a walking advertisement. He's got Louis Vuitton tattoos inked on his skin. He buys every single collection the brand drops. And he even owns one of those ridiculous LV collector's items, like that £115,000 pool table sitting in his mansion. That's not a fan, that's a full-blown addiction. So of course, when Louis Vuitton launches makeup, Jeffree grabs it all and does a glowing review. He's raving about the products, praising the packaging, eating up every second of it, and people in the comments aren't buying it. Fans started calling him out for being way too biased. And honestly, they have a point. He's basically Louis Vuitton's #1 cheerleader. And then add in the fact that some are claiming he got these products for free. That just makes the whole review look shady. One comment went straight for the throat, saying, "So people are paying £160 for Pat McGrath lipsticks that just happen to be in LV packaging?" And honestly, that sums it up perfectly. Fans are calling out how gullible people are being because the formulas between Pat McGrath and Louis Vuitton's lipsticks are basically the same. One comment dragged it, saying, "How can anyone in their right mind afford to buy these?" It's just crazy. And honestly, they're not wrong. The wildest part about makeup is that nobody can actually tell what brand you're wearing unless you say it out loud. So why pay sky-high prices when it's basically a flex no one even notices? People aren't just mad about the cost, they're slamming the quality too. Some said it felt like L'Oreal prices with Louis Vuitton packaging. Others complained about how Jeffree hyped up the pigment as if it was instant, when in reality, he had to swipe layer after layer just to get a decent color payoff. That's not luxury quality. That's straight up disappointing. So after fans started calling him biased, Jeffree tried to save face. People were accusing him of only loving the PR products because brands sometimes send influencers higher quality samples than what regular customers get. To shut that down, he bought the Louis Vuitton makeup himself and filmed a second review. His verdict? He claimed the customer-bought products were just as good as the PR ones. He doubled down, saying, "I bought more from the new Louis Vuitton beauty line, and I wasn't disappointed. The makeup brushes are stunning. Remember, I don't need to be on any PR list." But even with that follow-up, a lot of viewers still weren't convinced. Jeffree clapped back hard, saying, "I could buy anything I want, so please stop perpetuating fake news. Go to part 2. And sure, he's not wrong. He's rich enough to afford anything. But here's the thing. Just because he can buy it himself doesn't erase the bias. He's one of Louis Vuitton's biggest fans, covered in LV tattoos, buying their wildest collector's pieces. So why would he ever drag them publicly? That brand is basically tattooed onto his identity. Literally! Fans saw right through it. One person commented, "If this was $10, no one would be saying a thing." But that didn't land the way it was supposed to, because let's be real, nobody's mad at Jeffree for liking makeup. People are mad that he's hyping up lipsticks and brushes priced so outrageously they sound like parody. Someone else joked, "For $1,200, those brushes better apply my makeup by themselves." And honestly, fact. Defenders jumped in saying Jeffree is worth around $200 million, so it's not like Louis Vuitton is cutting him secret checks to lie. And they're probably right. He doesn't need their money. And here's where the drama really heats up. Jeffree wasn't the only influencer reviewing this line. Nikki Tutorials, one of the biggest names in the game, also tested Louis Vuitton beauty. And her experience? Let's just say it wasn't glowing. In fact, she had some serious issues with the products. And that's exactly why people started side-eyeing Jeffree's perfect reviews even harder. Nikki Tutorials wasn't even added to the Louis Vuitton PR list, and people think they know why. Word is, she's had long-standing beef with Pat McGrath. Years back, Nikki exposed that Pat allegedly treated her really badly, so it's no surprise she didn't make the cut when Louis Vuitton rolled out their influencer packages. And when Nikki got her hands on the products herself, she did not hold back. She said the eyeshadows were so weak, not even pigment was included. Fans were comparing the payoff to cheap makeup brands, saying it reminded them of Essence palettes from 2012 that cost €2. Another person pointed out that even bargain brands like Glam had palettes with way more pigment years ago. Now, here's the kicker. Louis Vuitton is charging £250 for an eyeshadow quad. A quad! People were quick to call it a joke, because at that price, most buyers expect a massive palette loaded with shades and luxury formulas, but instead customers are getting 4 tiny pans that barely show up on the skin. Some argued that luxury makeup isn't meant to be super pigmented, that buyers at that level are looking for soft, clean, girl looks, not bold, cut creases. But still, spending £250 for a subtle look? That's stretching it way too far. Even Eden the doll jumped into the drama, throwing shade with a comment that read, "Finding an honest review by someone not begging to stay on their PR list." And let's be real, everyone took that as a direct shot at Jeffree Star. Nikki Tutorials wasn't done. She also dropped a full YouTube review. And while her experience with the Louis Vuitton line was slightly better than her TikTok, she still made it clear the products are not worth the insane price tags. Then, James Charles jumped in with his own video, testing a full face of controversial new makeup launches. And when it came to the Louis Vuitton palettes, he flat out said it. The whole thing feels like a scam, and no one should ever be paying that much for such weak formulas. So now you've got Nikki and James both dragging the collection while Jeffree Star is singing its praises. The clash was inevitable. Jeffree fired back with a TikTok aimed directly at both of them. He clapped back at the criticism with a new makeup look, saying, "Here is my response to all the drama surrounding the Louis Vuitton makeup launch and the pigmentation of the eyeshadows. I guess Nikki Tutorials didn't like the palettes. Now, my previous review is being judged. Let's talk." And he didn't stop there. Jeffree made it personal, shading Nikki in subtle ways while trying to prove her wrong on pigment.
Listen to this. Turn up your phones and listen to what Nikki Tutorials said.
Dollars on the inner. Hello? Hello, for $250. Not even pigment was included. I tried another palette from the launch for my tube channel, and that, although boring, at least had pigment. I am.
Hold on.
And how much I have to.
Did you guys hear that? You didn't hear it. She admits that she tried another palette, and although boring, had pigment. She just admitted the other palettes have pigment. Now, the one that she specifically tried, I don't have that one here. Y'all are so full of shit. Because this specific palette that she's using, she didn't like. But I have this one and it had pigment.
But when it came to James Charles, Jeffree went nuclear. He didn't just dismiss James's review, he dragged up James's past controversies, even alluding to those old, very serious allegations that have haunted James for years. Viewers were quick to call Jeffree out, saying it was hypocritical for him to dodge criticism of his own bias by deflecting onto James with such messy accusations. At that point, the beauty drama wasn't just about overpriced makeup anymore, it was turning into a full-on influencer war. And here's where it gets extra messy, because let's be real, Jeffree Star doesn't exactly have a squeaky clean past either. Him trying to call out James Charles, that's like the pot calling the kettle black, allegedly. One commenter even mocked it, saying, "You're still listening to James Charles, who admitted texting minors?" I screamed and had to put the phone down. People were treating it like YouTube had rolled the clock back to 2016 when beauty drama was at its most chaotic. Plenty of fans pointed out that not everything had to be shady. One person said they watched both Nikki's video and Jeffree's and never assumed either of them was lying. They just figured the two had different expectations. But the audience loves a fight. And it was really the commenters who stirred the pot into full-blown drama. Another fan even commented, "Let the games begin," and Jeffree liked it, fanning the flames even more. What's interesting is that Jeffree didn't come nearly as hard for Nikki as he did for James. With her, it was light shade. With James, he went all in. Then, almost as a distraction, Jeffree shifted gears and reviewed more Louis Vuitton products. This time, the infamous 1,200-pound makeup brush set. Yes, the same one people joked should be able to apply makeup on its own at that price. Jeffree tested them out, using his classic neutral palette, and gave them his stamp of approval, calling them stunning. But while he was praising overpriced brushes, the comment section had already moved on. What he did do next was hop on a live stream where he decided to throw more shade at Nikki Tutorials. This time, he called her out for wearing a Louis Vuitton scarf worth around $500 while trashing the makeup line for being overpriced. But here's the thing, there's a major difference between buying a designer accessory and dropping $160 on a single lipstick or 250 pounds on a tiny eyeshadow quad. A scarf is a fashion piece you can wear for years. That doesn't make the makeup prices any less ridiculous. So Jeffree's clapback didn't exactly land the way he thought it would. And just when people thought the drama couldn't twist any further, Jeffree stirred another pot. This time with Hailey Bieber's brand, Rhode. For the longest time, Jeffree avoided reviewing Rhode because Hailey was constantly under fire online. Mostly because of the Selena Gomez versus Hailey tension. But now that public opinion has shifted, and Hailey is actually getting support instead of hate, Jeffree swooped in with what he called his truthful review. It's almost like he was waiting for the tide to turn before jumping in. Because when the world was against Hailey, he stayed silent. But now that she's in a better spotlight, suddenly he's ready to talk. And that timing, people are side-eyeing it hard. So here's the kicker. Jeffree has now flipped his stance on Hailey Bieber's Rhode brand in the most dramatic way possible. Remember when he literally threw her products in the trash on camera and refused to even review them? Well, now, suddenly, he's calling Rhode amazing and giving it glowing praise. This is exactly what I mean. Jeffree moves with the wind. One minute he's mocking a woman while she's being dragged online, the next he's acting like her #1 supporter now that the tide has turned. He even posted about it, asking, "Is the new Rhode skin product in Sephora Jeffree Star approved? Let's find out! Like, come on! The formulas didn't magically improve overnight. They've always been solid." The only difference is that now Hailey's brand is gaining respect, so Jeffree conveniently switched sides. And that's why so many people don't trust a word he says. What makes it even more ironic is that during this Rhode review, he used a rare beauty brush, Selena Gomez's brand. He praised it too, saying it worked perfectly for a natural look. And that wraps up the whirlwind of Jeffree Star chaos. Louis Vuitton, Nicki, James, Rhode, and all the shade in between. But I want to know what you think. Do you believe Jeffree's reviews anymore? Or is he just chasing whatever keeps him relevant? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget, hit that like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to NoFilter because we drop new celebrity gossip videos every single day. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Like, share, comment, and I'll see you in the next one right here on NoFilter. Ciao!